Welcome back. I'm the best host, Anastasia.
No. Steve is the best host. We should all aspire to his level of godliness.
Who are we talking about?
You uncultured swine.
Calm down there.
Sorry, Andre. I missed.
Welcome back to Ball State's premier entertainment news show. I'm your host, Anastasia Scott.
And I'm Tyler Landis.
Wait, why are we getting mail here?
A letter? We just got a letter. We just got a letter. We just got a letter. I wonder who it's from.
That came out of the blue.
Oh, so you get it.
Get what?
Anyway. Oh, it's from the Emmys.
Oh, well, then the next segment goes to Andre. Take it away, Andre.
The 70th Emmy Awards opened last night with SNL member Kenan Thompson saying, quote, "We're also celebrating the fact that this year's Emmy Awards has the most diverse group of nominees in Emmy history," end quote. Followed by a satirical musical number called We Solved It, where the performers criticized the Emmys' own boastfulness and inclusive nominee pool and sentiments that the moves to diversify in the industry have solved the problem of truthful and plentiful representation of minorities. Before I get too deep into this, I want to clarify that having the most diverse group of nominees in Emmy history isn't a high bar to shoot for. Much like the opening musical number, the Emmys made a mock of itself when the chairman and the host boasted about their diversity and went on to award 18 out of the 20 individual categories to white people. After an entire introduction full of diversity jokes, the first 6 winners in the comedy category were all white. Regina King finally broke the winning streak for lead actress in miniseries or movie in her role as Latrice Butler in 7 Seconds. Regina King is the 8th black actress to win a lead actress role in her category ever. When her name was announced, you could sense a sigh of relief roll across the room, and she was one of the few to get an immediate standing ovation. Although it is easy to criticize the Emmys for its lack of diverse winners, there have been multiple victories for women and minorities. Marvelous Mrs. Maisel dominated the comedy category as it swept 4 individual awards for supporting actress, lead actress, director, writer, and overall best comedy series. This is a major milestone for women creators in an industry dominated by men. And even though the vast majority of winners were white as usual, the pool of diverse nominees has only been growing. Sandra Oh is the first Asian to be nominated for a leading actress role in a drama, and recognition of shows starring minorities like Blackish, Atlanta, and The Assassination of Gianni Versace were well deserved. Although the television industry is still predominantly white males, it is at least aware of the issue, and small but significant steps are being taken to solve it. This has been Andre Guima. Back to you guys.
Thanks for that great segment, Andre.
Got any more songs in you, Tyler?
Yeah, I do. I'm blue, da-boo-dee, da-boo, da-hoo, da-boo-dee, da-boo.
Let's leave the singing to the professionals like Devin.
I'm a professional, though.
Singing in the shower doesn't count. There's no paying audience for your performance.
That's what you think. Riding on the roof with a dollar sign attached to my head.
Before you make our ears bleed, here's Devin.
Brockhampton may or may not be a name you know. For me, it is a name I've known for a short time, but I have grown to love this hip-hop boy band made up of Kanye West fans. The group, formed by Kevin Abstract, released their first trilogy of albums, Saturation, Saturation 2, and Saturation 3, all within 1 year, 2017. The members, Kevin Abstract, my personal favorite, Matt Champion, Dom McLennan, Merlin Wood, Joba, and Bareface each cover a different social issue. Kevin Abstract sings about his experiences with sexuality, Dom McLennan sings about mental health, Matt Champion sings about respecting women, and Merlin Wood sings about his African roots. Kevin Abstract is perhaps the most well-known member for his solo album, American Boyfriend, where he speaks about his struggles and experiences being a black gay man living in America. Each member brings their own style, giving the boy band their unique sound. Their trilogy, Saturation, was named this way because of how they brought together so many social topics about race, sexuality, mental health, and so much more. They are also very different in appearance, ranging from tall, short, black, white, straight, and gay. I love this project. When I heard Sweet for the first time, that's when I was hooked. The first verse, sang by Matt Champion, is my favorite verse in the whole project. With Matt's deep voice, I find it very smooth and it pulls you in. That's when my appreciation for their music started to grow. Their new album, Iridescence, is believed to be named this way because they are taking their sound in a different direction. The singles released throughout the summer, which include 1997 Diana, 1998 Truman, and 99 Wildfire, will not be on the album, which take on a very party-like sound that keeps you energized all the way through. This is especially true with 1997 Diana. This makes you wonder what the new album is going to entail, since by definition, Iridescence is the opposite of Saturation. The track list was released on Twitter and included Tanya, which they sang on Jimmy Fallon's late night show. No one expected it to be on the project, but I'm happy it is because I thought it was a very beautiful song that really showed life struggles. Iridescence is part one of a new trilogy called The Best Days of Our Lives. I'm very interested in finding out what else will be on the album, and I cannot wait to listen to it. Iridescence will be released September 21st.
Thank you, Devin, for that acoustically perfect segment.
Kind of like my shower.
You do realize how creepy that sounds.
Singing. Oh God, singing. Just singing in the shower.
Before we make a joke we can't take back, let's take a quick break.
You'll see, it's quite different here. Have a look around. You're perfectly safe.
That's safe?
As long as it's fed. Do you know what a warlock is, Lewis?
A boy witch.
I think they're a little more than boy witches.
Are you saying that you're a warlock?
I live for this type of scandal, to be honest.
Looks like half of Salem just got hacked.
There's nothing anybody can do to get these videos down.
Unfortunately, sir, it's very difficult to stop the internet.
When 17,000 people's texts and emails get leaked, people get really weird.
Run, Lily!
We're the Sisters Brothers. S-I-S-T-E-R-S. Like sisters.
We're looking for a man named Warm.
He stole something from our employer.
We have enough money to stop for good.
Stop what?
Killing people.
Yeah, right.
Sometimes I feel I've got to run away.
Do you realize that our father was struck raving mad and we got his foul blood?
Our father drank, Charlie.
A clue.
Tyler, enough of the singing. Go join the theater department if you want to keep singing.
No. They keep making fun of me. They're fat shaming me.
Tyler, you're not fat.
That's what I keep telling them. It's like that show. What's its name? It's got like Selena Gomez in it, but it's not really Selena Gomez, you know?
Are you talking about Debbie Ryan? Have you been watching Insatiable recently?
Yes. I've been actually complaining about it with Liz. You know Liz, right? You know, Liz?
It seems that every day there's something new being scrutinized on Twitter, and lately it's been Netflix under the microscope. While Netflix is and always will be near and dear to everyone's free time, it's receiving harsh backlash on two of its newer programs. Insatiable, which was released on August 10th, stars Debbie Ryan. While the show's creator Lauren Geist attempts to take a coming-of-age story and add comedy and dramatic plot twists, most of this is overlooked by Twitter users due to what happens in the pilot episode and the message it carries out throughout the season. Patty Plodell is introduced to Netflix users with a sour taste as she's played by Debbie Ryan in a fat suit. This initially fired up Twitter users as they demanded to know why the show didn't cast an overweight actress in the first place, bringing up an older Hollywood problem with fat suits dehumanizing overweight people. But the real problem that viewers had with the show was that as Patty Plodell's storyline carries on, she has a freak accident leading to her jaw being wired shut and her losing weight. Following her weight loss, she's magically transformed into what the story wants us to perceive as beautiful and popular, when literally nothing else physically or emotionally changes for Patty, making Twitter users beg the question, does Netflix actually want us to believe that skinny equals beautiful? This message carries on loosely throughout the season, eventually comparing weight loss issues to transgender issues. Yeah, they went there. It's definitely more to Insatiable than just a weight loss story, but the plot that's left behind really doesn't make up for the issues that it ends up causing. On the other hand, Netflix is receiving rave reviews on the film To All the Boys I've Loved Before. So when teen heartthrob Noah Centino was recast in Sierra Burgess as a loser this month, of course we were all gonna check it out and get extremely disappointed by it. Let me explain. So the movie starts out as, get this, another coming of age story. It's really like they just can't hit the head on the nail of these things. The casting of Shannon Purser as Sierra Burgess is very well done though, and I applaud the casting directors for actually choosing an unconventionally attractive person to play the role of the high school underdog and not the, let me undo my ponytail and take off my glasses and I'm suddenly beautiful type. But with that being said, Sierra Burgess, we were all rooting for you. Why did you have to turn out to be awful? She ends up catfishing the male lead, befriending the mean girl to reveal she has a heart, only to break it, and then suddenly sort of borderline sexually assaults the guy. Yeah, it's kind of a mess, a very disappointing mess, and Twitter had a lot to say about it. That being said, these two huge flops for Netflix were sort of turned around. Insatiable just got picked up for a second season, so I guess we'll have to see how this plays out for the company as it responds to all the backlash it's receiving. Insatiable is expected to release its second season in 2019.
Thank you, Liz, for that great segment.
Oh, man, now I'm disenchanted with Insatiable now.
Oh, I'm groaning. Like the guy from The Thing.
Like South Park?
No.
Family Guy.
No.
Cleveland Show.
Stop it, please. You're embarrassing me on TV. But since we're talking about groaning, here's Landon with another cartoon. Landon?
I recently picked up a new Netflix original series this weekend called Disenchantment by Matt Groening. You likely know his other works like Futurama and The Simpsons. Well, this show takes a bit of a different aspect. Futurama tackles the future, The Simpsons focuses on modern day, but Disenchantment captures a medieval era of fantasy and magic. The show's main protagonist is a rebellious princess named Bean, who lives in a very dysfunctional kingdom called Dreamland, which is ruled by her father Zog, a stereotypical, tyrannical, and selfish king. She later comes to meet her personal demon Lucy, who steers her in all the wrong directions, and a magic, clueless, and very odd elf named Elfo. Bean is a character that you come to hate and love throughout the entire 10 episodes in the first season, and I'm amazed that I could feel that about an animated character. Going into the show, I had very high hopes. Matt's work has always exceeded my expectations, but Disenchantment was a bit different for me. The show captures the twisted and darker humor of The Simpsons and Futurama, but forces it onto you. Many jokes are lost in the storyline, and some don't carry well after being produced. That being said, there were also many times where I couldn't help but die laughing. I finished the first season in one day, and the episodes are short enough to binge through, and I can't wait for the next season. I want to continue to see what shenanigans that Bean, Elfo, and Lucy have in store. Matt Groening has done some amazing work, and covering all bases from past, present, and future is a very difficult task to do. This first season is a great season, and I believe the future seasons to come will be even better. The cast is downright perfect, from Eric Andre playing Lucy to John DiMaggio playing King Zog. On that note, I have to give Disenchantment Season 1 an 8 out of 10. I'm Landon Corbin, and I'll see you next time.
Thanks, Landon. Now I'm gonna have to go binge Disenchantment.
And now it's time for a shameless plug.
This week, check out one of our new shows, Take 5.
The cast, everyone's playing it entirely just seriously. They're playing it with a straight face. And I remember when I was watching the show last year, my roommate, I had it on, my roommate was making fun of it because he wasn't on with the joke. Yeah. I really think sometimes the show's an acquired taste.
Yeah.
Would you say that?
I mean, it's kind of, I wouldn't say it's highbrow, but it's
no.
If you don't know you're watching a mockumentary,
yeah.
That's the point of you're this is a weird documentary. What are they talking about? But there's also clues in it that they're making fun of it because they talk about how they originally put it on Vimeo, sort of thing. They posted episodes during it. You see this and you're watching on Netflix and you should be oh, We're not. This isn't real life. We're talking
Right.
about something different.
Are you finally done with your stupid clues?
Ooh, pow, pow, pow. A new clue.
Great. Why? What are we even looking for?
Well, the clue says it's the turd burglar.
Are you British now?
Pow, pow, pow.
Wait, who's the turd burglar?
That's what we're trying to find out. Michael! Michael!
American Vandal Season 2 asks a simply complex question. Who is the turd burglar? This question is the basis of the entire season, so I will not be telling you who it is. Tyler, just watch the show. Anyway, American Vandal was originally a show that flew completely under my radar until it was recommended after I finished watching Evil Genius. I knew American Vandal was a mockumentary-style show parodying these kinds of crime documentaries, but knew little more, so I took a chance. This chance led me to one of the best series I've watched this year. Season 2 picks up after Season 1 with Peter and Sam, who have had quite the spotlight after American Vandal became a national phenomenon. They have received several suggestions on the next case to take on, one of which was an actual murder, but the only other case they felt was worthy of further investigation was one from a St. Bernardine student who wanted them to investigate a prank dubbed the Brownout. Peter and Sam received permission from their school to cover this prank as a senior project and headed off to Washington. It follows a similar formula at the basic level with someone who's accused by the school and police but is believed to be innocent by another student. It is shortly revealed that there were actually 3 crimes that took place: the brownout, the poop pinata, and a t-shirt launcher and some cat excrement. While this is disgusting, yes, and may have been for shock value, it serves an important point to the season's villain's overarching point. While this may sound like a show based fully in poop jokes and poop-based puns, it also has many important points that takes on many modern issues. To list just a few: false confessions, schools prioritizing sports and athletes, the facade of social media, emotional manipulation, catfishing, the importance of true friends, and how one can recover from a tragedy. Not exactly what most people would expect from a show based around an initial prank that leaves students uncontrollably defecating. And the show manages to masterfully balance those two by pulling you in with a very poignant monologue on an important issue, and then it jumps straight back into it, reminding you what you're really watching. One of the most important points American Vandal focuses on this season is the school's relationships with sports. This is shown most clearly with DeMarcus, the star basketball player of St. Bernie and a high draft prospect. He is shown getting away with many things, like answering phones in class, special access to the cafeteria, access to teachers' classrooms, and more. But he isn't the only one. Another basketball player who graduated previously pulled a long prank in which he stole the school's mascot and completely tormented another student. This went on for over a month, but in the end, he was never punished or even held accountable. In contrast, another student who wasn't an athlete made joke tweets from other students' accounts that were left logged in on the school computers, something more or less completely harmless, but he was expelled from the school. All in all, I would very highly recommend not just this season, but the series as a whole. While watching Season 1 isn't required to understand the second, I would still recommend it. That being said, I personally believe the second season is much better than the first. I'll have to give American Vandal Season 2 a 9 out of 10. I'm Michael Smith, and I'll see you next time. Back to you, Anastasia.
Thanks, Michael, for telling us nothing about the turd burglar.
Bollocks.
Why are we yelling?
The final clue.
What even is with these clues?
Final clue. New girl.
Who's that girl?
It's Jess. I mean, Sierra.
Here's Sierra with a new review of New Girl.
I couldn't have spent this past month and a half any other way than to watch my favorite TV show on Fox called New Girl. This sitcom takes place in Los Angeles. The show starts off with Jessica Day ready to surprise her boyfriend Spence by standing naked in the living room only to catch him cheating. Heartbroken Jess then goes on a hunt to find a new home on Craigslist and finds what's known as The Loft. In The Loft lives 3 other guys named Schmidt, Winston, and Nick. Schmidt is this former obese man that became fit and now spends most of his time finding new girls to have one-night stands with. Winston is a former basketball player that searches for a new job and attempts to find love in the process. He doesn't have a lot of luck considering one girl was cheating. On the bright side, he did steal her cat and keep him for himself. Then there's Nick. He is known as the lazy guy of the group. Nick is a bartender who has hopes to become a famous zombie novel writer. Jessica, the main character, is what I would describe as one of those friends who does the weirdest, cringe-worthy things but is always there to help solve your problems. Aside from the loft, you have Jessica's best friend, Cece. She is a model that soon finds out that those eggies aren't getting any more fertile, if you know what I mean, and sets out on a hunt to find her soulmate. Now, if you combine all of these witty people together, you have, well, a bunch of middle-aged people. This show made me love every character in their own way. Granted, it had a lot of comedy and sarcasm, but there was also some personal life lessons each character taught the viewers. One would be, never try and hook up a shower head with duct tape, or don't make out with your roommate's father. This show has definitely been worth the late nights, but I binge watched every show since last month, and I'm finally approaching the end, only to find out that the show has already been canceled and they won't be airing anymore. They already did their last season. I always check if shows are doing good before investing into it due to the fact that they always get canceled. Unfortunately, I forgot to check this one and got invested. However, I have no regrets in my choice to binge watch this show. This show had so many funny moments in it, and the characters definitely grow on you to the point where it's worth the heartbreak. The writers definitely did not disappoint because there were many moments that you want to happen that eventually happen. All my dreams and fantasies of ideal couples came true on the show, and I couldn't be more satisfied. This show was executed very well in my point of view, not only because of the strong female role, but also because every character made their mark on the show. Without one, the show would be nothing. I give this show 4.8 out of 5, hands down.
Thanks, Sierra, for that stellar review.
So, what did all those clues lead up to?
You haven't figured it out yet?
I have a theory. New Girl wins an Emmy, but then the turd burglar steals it.
I don't know. I just wanted to do a Blue's Clues themed episode.
What's Blue's Clues?
You're dead to me.
Well, then, stay tuned for our final word.
Dead to me.
Alien.
Predators. It exploits weakness, tracks its prey, like a game. Seems to enjoy it.
That's not a predator, that's a sports hunter.
Well, we took a vote. Predator's cooler, right?
I had a series of visions when I was younger. And after each one ended, the same thought would be stuck in my head.
What did you see?
I saw none.
Our sons brought us together, actually.
Come here, little dude.
Can me and Miles have a play date today?
Your drink? Does your kid drink? Maybe? I mean, it's never too early to start teaching
I
them.
think you're joking, but great. J'adore mon poisson.
All right, before I start, I just have to say, I love big hair. Now that that's out of the way, I can begin. All right, so last week, you all heard me fangirl over Ewan McGregor, but I'm upping the stakes this time. Instead of fangirling over one person, I'm doing it to a whole darn show. Show about ladies, show about wrestling, show about both of those things all in one. Y'all know what I'm talking about, right? It's Glow, the gorgeous ladies of wrestling. Now, for those of you familiar with the show, you will know that it's absolute perfection. From the writing, to the characters, to the 80s setting. I mean, the show was practically made for me to love it. Now, for those of you not familiar, well, let me tell you a little bit about it. Now, for those of you that want to skip over my final word and watch the show for yourself, I completely understand. It's a Netflix original, so go watch it. So anyway, the show takes place in LA and follows our quirky protagonist Ruth as she struggles to find work as an actress. She's just about to lose all hope and go into the adult film industry, but she catches a big break on a new show called Glow. It's casting unconventional female actresses, and it's right up her alley. So she heads on down to the audition, and what does she find out? That she is auditioning to be a part of the very first female wrestling show. Now, while she does get cut from the show, that doesn't stop her. She comes back and demands a spot on the show. She still doesn't get it. Until her ex-best friend Debbie comes into the ring and fights her for, well, okay, so our protagonist is a homewrecker who slept with her best friend's husband. Not the best role model, I know, but just roll with it. Anyway, during the fight with Debbie, the director, Sam, sees something in them. At that moment, he sees the stars of the show. With some very smooth talking, he's able to get both of them on the show, and then the rest as well, the show. Or I guess the making of the show, specifically the pilot. We see all the trials and tribulations our lovable cast of ladies go through on the road to stardom, including, but not limited to, fighting with each other, trying to find your mind after your husband cheats on you with your bestie, portraying a stereotype of your race and gender, money issues, having an abortion, and being a wolf. Yeah, that's a thing. Then, after they get past all of the hard work of just getting the show on the air, they have to then keep it afloat in season 2, which, let's just say, doesn't go so well. The show is a roller coaster of emotion, making me go from crying tears of joy one minute to, well, tears of sadness the next. I think what really kept me so involved was the show's writing. I mean, the writing is so good, and the incredible characters as well. They're just so developed and real. It feels like I know them all in real life. Everyone gives a phenomenal performance, and oh God, I can't wait till June of 2019 to see season 3. Please hurry. Anyway, don't take my word for it. Go check it out for yourself. And if you want to hear me talk more about it, you should check out, shameless plug, our show Take 5, where I'll be talking about it as one of my top 5 Netflix shows. What spot is it in? You'll have to watch to find out. But for now, let me pass it off to Anastasia, who's talking about my other favorite show on everyone else's other favorite streaming site. Anastasia?
Okay, first things first. Have you heard of Castle Rock? If you have and you've watched it, I'm going to ask you a simple question. Do you know what's going on? Because I sure don't. For those of you who don't know, Castle Rock is a Hulu exclusive series based on numerous stories of the horror writer Stephen King. Various characters and themes from his books like The Shining, It, Needful Things, Misery, Tommy Knockers, The Body, and a lot more clash to make this conspiracy/horror/sci-fi show. Castle Rock follows a couple different characters, but primarily Henry Deaver. Henry Deaver is a lawyer who returns to his home of Castle Rock, Maine, after receiving a phone call from Shawshank Prison about a man who has apparently been locked in a cage in an abandoned section of the prison unbeknownst to the prison staff. The man is severely malnourished, dirty, and unwilling to talk. Well, except for saying Henry Deaver's name. Along the way, figuring out the mystery of the man in the cage, Henry has to deal with ghosts from his past, his ailing mother, a strained relationship with his son, and the general weirdness of Castle Rock. Castle Rock is not a show for the faint of heart. If you can't handle one of Stephen King's other works, whether they be the books, movies, or shows, I don't recommend you try and watch this. Nor do I recommend watching it if you want to not think for an hour or so, because the show has so many questions, your questions have questions. After each episode, you really have to sit there and contemplate not only the show itself, but life. Besides having a complex storyline that has too many twists and turns to count, the show is fantastic. The cast is amazing. The characters in the show are very ambiguous, so you're constantly questioning what they are doing and hardly have any sense of who they are and if they're actually who they seem to be. If it weren't for the superb acting of the entire ensemble, the show wouldn't have been nearly as good as it is. Such people as Andre Holland, who plays Henry Deaver, Bill Skarsgård, who plays the kid, the enigmatic man who is locked in a cage, and Sissy Spacek, who plays Ruth Deaver, Henry's mom, they are just some of the Castle Rock cast, and each one of them individually is enough to watch the show. I will say, one of the issues I had with the show is that it's a bit confusing, and not in the fun way. It can be a bit hard to keep track of all that's going on, and you're constantly scrabbling to figure out what you do know. Who's the man in the cage? What happened to Henry when he was younger? What's the connection between Henry and the kid? These are just some of the questions that plague you throughout the show. Also, you know how most shows wrap up a lot of the loose ends at the season finale? Well, this show doesn't. It leaves you wondering about the same things you were at the beginning. In fact, by the last minute of the show, you have even more questions. It doesn't seem like we'll be getting any of those answers in season 2 either, which has been announced without a premiere date. The creators of the show have explained that Castle Rock is an anthology series, meaning each season will be one story and the next will be a completely different one. Some of the characters may cross over, but it doesn't look as if we'll get an explanation for Henry Deaver or the kid anytime soon. So, to wrap it all up, I love Castle Rock. I think it's a fun way to play homage to Stephen King's works and a wink to his fans, but also a way to introduce some people to the stories. The show is intriguing even with all the confusion. So, I'm going to give Castle Rock a 4 out of 5.
So it's time for so long. Ooh, 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 ooh. But I'll sing just one more song. That's all I had, really, actually.
Well then, if you just couldn't get enough of us this episode for The Real Deal, head over to our website, Facebook, and Twitter pages for news and updates on all the entertainment. I'm Anastasia Scott.
And I'm Tyler Landis. See you next time on The Real Deal.